So welcome to the Freedom Podcast. My name is Victor Nwolu. I've been meaning to start this podcast for a while now, and it's titled Freedom Podcast for a reason, because freedom is one of the highest values to anybody, to the human race in general, and to all the animals, all the creatures. There's nothing as beautiful as freedom. I think the only other thing that is synonymous to freedom is love, because without love, there cannot be freedom. The first topic we're going to be talking about today is facing your fears. I know that a lot of us define freedom in various ways. Some people think that doing whatever you want to do is freedom, living however you want to live, buying whatever you want to buy, whenever you want to buy it, being able to do anything at any time. I think we've been brainwashed to think that is freedom, and there may be some level of freedom in doing whatever you want to do, but true freedom is doing whatever you do without being a slave to that thing. I'll give you an example. I like watching TV series, and if I get to watch this TV series as much as I want to, or I watch them so much that my time for work, I use them to watch TV series just because I love them, that's not freedom, even though I can do it. The movies have enslaved my mind. They make me do what they want. So freedom is not exactly doing whatever you want to do. Freedom is doing what you have to do when you have to do it, or what you love to do when you have to do it, with the right balance, not being controlled by whatever it is that you love to do. And on a higher sense, freedom is living the way God intended for us to live, because God is a God of love and abundance, and He wants us to live free. When I was a kid, I used to think, and I'm not saying when I was a kid, it was maybe some time ago. Let me not use that word when I was a kid, so it's not going to be like it was a long time ago. I used to think that the commandments that God gave us in the Bible constrained us from living to the fullest. But now I have a better understanding that those commands make us able to live to the fullest. It's just like an example I heard one time during a Bible devotional I was doing. I can't remember the title of the devotional. Probably The Bible in 1 Year by Nicky Gamble. Probably. It was an example he gave that about playing football in the pitch, and I think he was a referee for kids. Kids, he had something like that with his friend, and he kind of stepped in as a referee even though he had no experience in football. And the referees are the people who uphold the rules and regulations of the game. So because he had no experience, he didn't know how to do that job. The kids, played the game however they wanted to. The game became so chaotic, and before his friend or the actual referee got to the pitch, a few players were already injured. So when the actual referee took over from Nicky, and organized the game, and the game was much better because he knew the rules and he could uphold the rules. When it was a foul, he would blow a foul, and there would be no argument here and there. So the game became much more enjoyable because there were rules that were upheld. In a sense, that's how the Ten Commandments work. There are rules that guide the game of life. When we, for example, steal, even if we don't get caught, the conscience, you begin to feel, small. You begin to feel uneasy. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So these rules or these commands that God gave us were to make us actually live free, but our mind has been so perverted that we see those rules as the problem. But I'm gonna switch over from talking about the Ten Commandments and talk about the topic we have at hand, which is facing your fears. Fear is a very controversial topic because everyone experiences fears, even those who deny it. It's such a natural feeling. Yeah, it's a feeling of uncertainty, or a feeling that gets you stuck in a dictionary definition of the word fear before I go deep into this thing. So it's like an anxious feeling, a lack of courage, being uneasy, an unpleasant feeling, a painful emotion or passion excited by the expectation of evil or the apprehension of impending danger. Expecting something terrible to happen is the feeling of fear. So most times it's associated with the fear of the unknown, because when something unknown happens, your brain snaps and tries to protect you, and your emotions react in that way because you don't know what to expect. So this is the most natural form of fear, even though there are a whole lot of forms of fear. So facing your fear means that your fear is present. You're fully aware of this thing that scares the hell out of you, and you do what you need to do despite the fact that you're afraid. I used to tell my younger brother that if you ever get in a fight and you're afraid, you're fighting two battles at the same time. You're fighting yourself and not even paying attention to your opponent because you're afraid of who you're fighting. You already defeated yourself in your mind. So while you're fighting your opponent, you're trying to, wrestle with your fear. I don't know if that makes sense. So this brings me to talk about courage. Courage not being the absence of fear, but the ability to do the needful in spite of fear, irrespective of your fear. Pushing the fear to the side and getting past it, doing whatever you want to do. Tell the fear, do what you want to do. I don't care that you're there. I'll do what I need to do. Okay? I'm going to give an example right now. You're walking on a lonely road and you need to get to where you're going to. Maybe your kid is waiting for you to pick him up. And if you don't get there in time, the kid might be in danger. And there's a dog on the side of the road. The dog is not even attacking you, and you're someone who is scared of dogs. Will you turn back and abandon your kid? Or will you muster up courage and cross the dog to get to your child? So if you're someone that is too afraid and is willing to abandon his or her child because of the dog, then your fear controlled you. Your fear overpowered you. But if you pick up courage and say, whatever happens, happens, I'm gonna get my child, even if it means fighting this dog. Yeah, I know I'm afraid of dogs. I know I would rather not fight this dog. But if it means fighting this dog to get across, to get to where I need to get to, then I will do it. Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means you're being courageous, because courage only counts when you're supposed to be afraid and not do what you're supposed to do. So doing it anyway means you face your fears and you cross that dog, and that dog did not attack you, and you got to your kid. The next time you're faced with a fearful situation like that, your previous experience with that dog will encourage you to take the high road instead of the low road. I think that's basically the simplest way to say face your fears. I'm gonna go to one more example from the Bible. David and Goliath, when David had to fight Goliath. One thing I want to pick out from the story is that before he faced Goliath, he reminded himself of the times that he fought lions and bears in the jungle, and he defeated them. So it didn't mean he wasn't afraid of them, but he pulled his track record of being courageous in the face of fear, and he said, if I could do those, or if God could help me do something like that, this giant in front of me will go down the same way the lion and the bear went down. So I'm going to encourage somebody today that instead of backing away from the things you want to do with your life, instead of backing away from those things that matter to you the most because of something that you're afraid of, fear of the unknown, fear of failing, fear of people, fear of whatever, I want to encourage you to move ahead despite the fear. If you have to do it afraid, do it. But make sure you keep moving forward. Forward is the only way. Every second that passes, you're getting 1 second older. You see, forward is the way. Even if you decide not to get up from your bed today, you will keep getting older in bed. Time will not wait for you. Life is not waiting for you. The only thing that is waiting for you is us. We're waiting for you to rise up and shine. We're waiting for you to come out here so we can see what you got inside of you. Because if you do not tell us, or if you do not show us what you have inside of you, there's no way for us to find out. So face your fears today and be on your way. If you have to fall, get back up. Make mistakes, get back up. But face your fears no matter what. I had to face my fears before I could do this thing that I'm doing right now, this podcast. Share my experience or my knowledge, a piece of encouragement with you. It took some courage to get this equipment set up and record this thing. So if that counts for anything, do it. Get on with it. Do it. Do it. Do it afraid if you have to. Face your fears, and I'm gonna wrap it up right now. I think we're gonna be having another episode next week. I don't want to make it so long. I want each episode to be very snappy and straight to the point. So I'll see you next week. God bless you.